Hearty welcome to all of you. In this video, we are about to discuss the outline of a dissertation or thesis, which is the final part of submitting the research work. Let it be in doctorate, it is PhD or MTech, that is MTech, MSc, MA, or any other post-graduation fields. Dissertation or thesis is the final part of our research work. Let us go with the discussion about the outline in simple steps. Very first is the title page. Here, when we go for the binding work or anything or the cover page, we have the title along with the customizations and specifications provided by the university, which will be having the title of our research work, as well as the name of the university, our name, and the name of the supervisors there with seal, stamp, and everything. And it will be very important to have it very nicely furbished. Next one, the certificates. Here, certificates means it can have the declaration from the researcher, or it might be having the declaration from the research supervisor, and it might have some certificates from the or endorsement from the department or the university where the researcher is going through his research work. Once the certificates are in clear manner, which are mandatory for making the signatures, later we can move towards acknowledgements. Here, acknowledgements conveys how we thank all the people directly or indirectly involved in our work, starting from the supervisor, university, the research director, and all our faculty, to our friends and family. We make a simple one, even though it must not be exaggerated, as well as it must not be very simple and short, but it must be very good looking acknowledgement. Around it might be some 1.5 page or 2 page in our thesis. Moving towards abstract. Here, abstract is the opening bracket of the entire research work, and it might be in the 2 or 3 paragraphs. Already we have produced so many videos how to write abstracts for different researchers. You can go through those videos. In simple words, I can tell that abstract contains the simple sentences about our context, our problem, and also how we have implemented and all the summary. Later, after abstract, we have to involve table of contents, figures, symbols that are being used throughout the thesis or dissertation, as well as the acronyms. Acronyms means the abbreviations that has been used in the entire dissertation or thesis. Later, we should start with the first chapter as introduction, and most probably the introduction is the one which attracts the readers towards our entire research work. After the abstract, the introduction is the part which attracts the readers, which must have the contextualization of the problem statement, and it might have the brief summaries of the existing methodologies and present proposal methodologies, as well as it might have some implemented methodology, what has been implemented in this work. In a brief note, it must have. Later, we can have literature review, and this literature review has also been discussed earlier in the earlier videos, but let me give a concise picture about literature review. There must be, like, depending upon the application, we can write the literature survey, or depending upon the type of the algorithms we are doing in our work, we can prepare the literature review. And keep it in mind that the literature review must be in chronological in order, and the latest must be the first in the first, and like that we should mention the names, and we should not forget that these so-called places where we have taken the information from, they must be cited properly. And next, the methodology. Here, this methodology can be one chapter in some of the universities, or it might be two chapters in some of the universities, depending upon your respective department as well as the university norms. It might contain existing methodologies, that is earlier and previous methods, how they have been performing, their advantages as well as their limitations, and it might be having some research gap related to our work, and that work must be induce us to take the present proposal method, and the proposal method must have a clear picture of the block diagrams, whatever we are using, algorithms, as well as whatever the tools we are going to use, they must be mentioned in the methodology section step by step. Once it is framed, we can go towards the results and discussions. This is the chapter where we compile all the experimental investigations that have been carried out. This particular chapter might contain the figures, that is pictures, as well as descriptive analysis of those pictures, or descriptive analysis of the data, whatever we have taken for our research work, as well as we could have statistical analysis. We can call it as objective analysis of our entire research work. And it might also have some graph, that is plots with respect to parameters, that establishes that our proposed methodology is better than the existing and earlier methods. This is how the results and discussion must be carried out hand by hand. Later, we can have the last stage, but not the least, the conclusion and summary along with the future scope. While we are writing the conclusion, we should keep it in mind whatever we have mentioned in the abstract, because the conclusion is the closing bracket of the entire research work, and a clear summary of what has been carried out with respect to the problem we have taken, and in the methodology we might have mentioned some methods, and in the results we might have applied those methods on those particular problem. Those things stage by stage, we should have a brief summary of the method, amalgamation of method, as well as the results, and the subjective as well as objective analysis must be available as a conclusion and summary. Along with this, future scope here is simple and better word you can use, further scope also here. In future scope, you can mention that whatever are the limitations you have faced while doing your project and you have stopped it at that point, you can mention this. We can extend this work so and so level, and we can mention whatever be the parameters required to carry out this research work further. Keep it in mind that no research, always the research work must be in an open-ended forum. It must not be a closed one, such that the upcoming future researchers must take your research as a reference and carry out your work as an extension by mentioning new and novel algorithms in the near future. And one topic I have left in this outline is, because it is mandatory, that is references. The citations must be provided here, must follow any of the formats depending upon the type of the thesis, like MLA, APA, or it completely depends upon the type of the thesis you have taken, type of the application you have taken, depending upon the department, depending on the university, and depending upon different styles, you have to follow the style of the references. In other case, in some of the theses or the universities, the thesis, in the thesis, they also references are also called as bibliography. And keep it in mind that don't keep the references that have been not cited in the entire thesis. You should mention the references only that have been cited in the thesis. This is how the outline of the thesis or dissertation is meant to be. And let me tell you a point that this is not a false proof. These are the simple structure or general structure what I have been mentioning here. More or less, this will be the main outline of the dissertation or thesis in any of the universities in the entire world. Keep this in mind and follow the steps. Hope you have liked our channel, our video. Kindly share this video among your friends who may get benefited, and also kindly do subscribe our channel for encouraging us. Thank you for listening.